Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to episode 15 of the Muscle Building Mastery Podcast. My name's Andy Clements, and in this episode, I want to talk to you. I want to get real a little bit with you today, and kind of call you out a little bit, maybe if you're guilty of this, because I want to really sort of shake you like I needed to be shaked back when I needed this advice. So this episode is going to be called Bulking. Like, are you bulking or are you just getting fat? Right? Because this is something that a lot of us need to hear, right? And it's definitely something that I need to hear, because back when I first started getting started in the gym, but it was probably the first like 3 or 4 years that I was getting started in the gym, right? So it was a long time that I struggled with this. I used to do like a ridiculously aggressive bulking phases, right? And when I say bulking phases, guys, I mean that I just used to eat whatever food I could get my hands on, right? Okay, I literally used the all weight is good weight approach. So I was like, at all costs, I must put weight on, because that's how I'm going to get bigger. And that was what I used to think. That was my approach to things. So that was what I did. I can remember watching a like if you're in the UK, you'll know what This Morning is. This Morning is like a mid-morning TV program, like a daytime TV program, right? I remember being a teenager, like 15, 16 years old, when I first started getting into this whole muscle building game, and watching This Morning, right? And there's a guy on This Morning called Paul. He was on This Morning, this particular day, called Paul McKenna, and he's like kind of a psychologist, I don't know what his exact title is. I would describe him maybe as a psychologist, kind of guru guy that's quite famous, quite mainstream famous in the UK. And he was on talking about weight loss, right? Now stay with me here, because I'm going to feed this back into what we're talking about today. He was talking about weight loss, right? And his whole thing, it was like, from what I know now, I know it's relatively good advice. He was talking about if you want to lose weight, then you need to slow down your eating. You need to really focus on your food and chew it a lot of times, and don't eat in front of the TV, eat at the table, all that kind of stuff, so make sure your body has a chance to register that you're getting full. My 15-year-old brain heard that, and I heard him say the words weight loss. I was like, okay, I'm really skinny, I want to put weight on, I want weight gain. So in my mind I thought, I just need to do the exact opposite. This is a true story, by the way, 100% a true story. In my mind, at 15 years old, I thought, I need to do the exact opposite of what he's saying, because what he's saying is helping people with weight loss, and I want weight gain. So gain is the opposite of loss, so I just need to do the exact opposite. So, like looking back now, I can see that that exact moment was a bit of a turning point for me, and that's why I adopted some of these dumb strategies that so many people have for so many years, right up until my 20s. And so that's what I did. From like 15 years old, I started getting this awful, horrible relationship with food, where I was like, right, I need to eat as fast as I can, because he said eat as slow as you can for weight loss. So I need to eat as fast as I can. I need to not chew it an awful lot, because he said chew it an awful lot for weight loss. So if I want to gain weight, I need to really chew it, not chew it very much. And then I need to eat in front of the TV, because he said don't do that if you want weight loss, so I'm going to eat in front of the TV. He was talking about eating like fresh food, stuff like that, so I just need to eat as much junk and as much calorie stuff as I can. And there was like 5 or 6 different things I ended up started doing, and I just like ingrained them as habits, right? And I started doing it, and I started eating, like, I was eating the pizzas, I was eating the ice creams, I was eating the KFC, I was eating the Burger King, the McDonald's, I was eating all this different stuff. And I used to spend so much money on mass gainer shakes. So you guys have probably heard of mass gainer shakes, right? These if you haven't, I wouldn't bother looking into them, to be quite honest, because they're not really any good. But they're basically like marketed as these, like, oh, drink this if you want to put on size fast, if you're a hard gainer and you want to get all this stuff, right? And I used to fall for that completely, and I used to stock up on these mass gainer shakes, and basically they have got protein in them, like they're a protein shake, but they're just loaded up with carbs for the rest of it, right? They're loaded up with carbs with some fats in there, and they're just like really calorie dense shakes, and it's like having a whole meal in a shake, right? So I used to smash them, and I dread to think how many calories like I just put in overnight and just started like smashing the calories in. And my training wasn't any good. I was 15, 16 years old, I didn't know what I was doing, right? So it wasn't like I had any idea of how to train, any idea of how to eat, like the strategies behind it or anything like that. I just saw food and I smashed it in my face, you know? So that was the direction I went with it. And I think you can probably guess what happened. I got fat, right? And I'm not saying like I got morbidly obese or anything, like I'm not claiming that, but I developed a bit of a belly for the first time in my life because I'd always been really skinny, and I always kind of assumed that because I've always been skinny, I always will be skinny, I never need to worry about getting a belly. But I started getting fat, and my strength didn't go up in the gym. So I didn't get really any stronger, which I didn't know if it was good or not. You know, I just thought maybe that's a training issue. I didn't even equate the two, nutrition and training, right? I didn't even know that there was anything to do with each other. And I just ended up getting a ton of fat on me, and I gained very, very little muscle. And the reason I know I gained very, very little muscle is because I started like, when I watched that TV program, and I got that advice that I made up for myself, right? When I watched that TV program, I was a certain weight. I can't remember exactly what the weight was, but I think it was like 170 pounds or something, really, really small. And I put all this weight on, right? Because I started eating the mass gainers, and I probably gained like 30 pounds. I probably got like 200 pounds over the course of a few years. And then when I dieted that back down again, I didn't look any different. Right, I didn't look any different whatsoever. I was like exactly the same. Like when I started cutting down, I lost some weight. Like I didn't gain any muscle. I just gained a load of fat, and then I lost the fat again. Right, and it was just what a complete waste of like 3 years of trying to do this stuff and like force feeding myself when it did nothing for my physique. It did absolutely nothing for my physique. So I ended up getting like really despondent and really like almost like depressed, because I was like, well, what's the point in this anymore? And maybe I should just give it up, because I just don't know how to bulk. Like everybody says, well, you need to do the bulking, you need to do the cutting, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I was like, I've tried that, I've tried it, and I don't think I can do it. So I got really despondent, and I was really, really strongly considering quitting. But then I came to a bit of a realization. Building mass and bulking isn't about how much weight you can gain. Now that might be a bit of a, what you're talking about, right? Because everybody thinks, well, bulking, you need to be gaining weight, and that's what I always thought as well. And to a certain extent that's true. When you're in a bulking phase, or you're trying to put on mass, then you do need to be seeing the scale weight increase. But it's not about how much weight you can gain, it's about how much weight you can keep, right? So you've got to look at things over the course of like a full cycle of bulking and cutting. And bulk, if you don't know what bulking and cutting means, just really briefly, bulking is obviously putting weight on, cutting is stripping weight off and stripping body fat off. The aim of bulking is to put muscle on, the aim of cutting is to strip body fat off, to reveal the newfound muscle underneath, right? But if you are making such a mess of your bulking cycle that you're just eating junk and completely screwing up your hormones and just getting loads of fat on you, then yes, you may gain some muscle in that bulking phase, but if you're accumulating so much fat, like I did, that you have to diet that hard and that strict to get all that fat off for so long, that you'll probably lose all the muscle in the process that you built up anyway. Especially for us guys that's natural and we're not taking drugs or anything like that, we can't rely on any kind of assistance to sort of fall back on. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So that's the key point really. It's not about how much weight you gain, it's how much weight you can keep. Because if you can go through like a bulking phase, put on 25 pounds, for example, nothing special about that, I'm just you know, picking numbers out the air for a minute for the sake of an example. But if you can go through a bulking phase and put on 25 pounds and then do a cutting phase and cut 20 pounds or 18 pounds and stay at the same body fat percentage as when you started at, then you gained 5 to 7 pounds of muscle. That's a successful 6 months, 8 months, a year of training. You put on 7 pounds of muscle. Wow, that's massive, right? So that's the aim of the game. The aim of the game is when you're at a certain body fat percentage, you creep your way up and up and up and up and up and up, right? so that you can be, if you start off at 160 pounds lean, which I was 160 pounds when I first got lean, then now I can be more like 180 pounds or 190 pounds lean, right? So like 20 to 30 pounds heavier at the same body fat percentage as I was a few years ago, which is mental, right? Like, and then you know, the next time I do it, I'm really hopeful I'm going to be close to 200 pounds shredded. Now the heaviest I've ever been is not that light. Like the heaviest I've been is like 225 pounds, and I was big. You know what I mean? I was big. I was strong, but I didn't keep all that weight. The weight I kept was directly sort of proportional to my intelligence and my approach to my bulking and cutting strategies. Does that make sense? So that's kind of the overview. That's kind of what I want to get across in this podcast, this episode of Muscle Building Mastery, is that it's not about how much weight you can gain, it's about how much weight you can keep. Now, I want to tell you what happened to me after I came to that realization. What happened to me after that is, I thought, right, okay, I'm going to start this whole thing again. And this is what I recommend everybody do if they're in a similar position to what I was back then in my teenage years and in my early 20s, when I was just bulking and then dieting all my muscle off, is I recommend that you get lean first and you set up an intelligent and a proper, like, muscle preserving cutting diet, where you bring yourself down really gradually over the course of, I don't know, 12 weeks, whatever it needs to be. You lose like a pound a week, so how much weight you've got to lose, do that many weeks. So if you've got 20 pounds to lose, do 20-week diet, right? And get yourself very, very lean. Get yourself in the best shape of your life. That's what I did. I got myself in the best shape of my life. My abs were out, I had veins popping out, I felt amazing, right? And I looked like the best I've ever looked. But I was light. I was in, like I said, 160 pounds. Like, that's really light, right? That's like, I don't know, even no, like 11 and a half, 12 stone maybe. So I got very, very lean. What I did then is I did something called a reverse diet. Okay? Now a reverse diet is simply, like, it's what it sounds like. It's you take the diet process and you do it in reverse. Okay, so if you've gradually chipped away at your calories and started to bring yourself down, started slowly bringing your cardio up and your activity and your expenditure up to chip away at that body fat, you're going to slowly reverse that process. So you're going to, over the course of another 12 to 20 weeks, you're going to slowly add the calories back in week by week, little by little, and slowly start to taper the cardio down little by little, week by week, right? And after the 12 weeks, however long it takes, you're going to be at the same calories and the same sort of habits that you were before you started, but your body composition will have changed. You'll have much less body fat and much more muscle if you've done it properly, right? So that's what I did. I started to slowly bring my body weight up. My strength started to creep up for the first time ever in the gym, and I started to get bigger and I started to fill out my t-shirts. And the best thing about it is a little bit of body fat was accumulating because I was pushing my calories up, but I wasn't getting fat. You know, I could still see the outline of my abs. My veins were still there to a large extent, and my muscles looked defined. You know, and my shoulders were still capped off, and I could still see the proper outline of my chest. I wasn't shredded. You can't be shredded year round. Like these guys on Instagram and all these different platforms that try and convince you that you can be absolutely paper skin thin, shredded year round. They're talking out their arse. You know what I mean? It's not what happens. But it doesn't mean you have to go the other extreme. It doesn't mean you have to get really, really fat. Okay? So that's the way that I did it. I reversed out of it, and then I had a massive scope then, because I was like, wow, I'm still pretty lean, and I'm where I started. You know what I mean? In terms of body weight. So I'm like, I don't know, 180 pounds or whatever I was, which was where I started, but I was fat at 180 pounds, dieted down to 160, and then reversed dieted really slowly, got myself to 180, but I was much leaner. Now, do you see how that works? So I'm a much more muscular, much leaner 180 pounds here than I was 180 pounds 6 months, a year previous, whenever it was. Okay, hope that's making sense. And at this body weight, I'm also stronger, I'm more muscular, I'm leaner, I'm more confident, I feel better, I'm more productive at work. All that sort of stuff, it all feeds into itself. So I know it's maybe gone a few minutes longer than normal. We're coming up to 15 minutes now on this episode, but I just really wanted to drill that down because there's a lot of myths out there about bulking and cutting and what do you do and how much should you eat and all the rest of it. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys sort of understood that it's not about the weight that you gain, it's about the weight that you keep. So I hope that I've made that clear. I hope that's kind of making some sort of sense to you, and I hope that changes the way maybe that you approach the next bulking cycle that you do, because that honestly has massively changed the game for me, and it's made my approach to nutrition, approach to training, approach to the whole muscle building game so much simpler, and it's absolutely like changed my life. It really has. So I hope that made sense. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something valuable from that. If you did, if you're listening to this on iTunes or on Spotify, please go ahead and give me a review if you can figure out how to do that. I don't know if I could figure out how to do that because I'm not very good with technology. But if you can figure out how to do that, drop me a review. Let me know honestly what you thought. Let me know if you want to see something different in the future. Let me know if you've got any questions that we're answering. If you're watching this on YouTube, hello, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Drop me a like on this video. Drop me a comment and let me know what you thought. And let me know if you want anything covered in future episodes, and I'll do my best to get your questions answered as soon as possible. And yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you next time in the next episode of the Muscle Building Mastery Podcast.